DRF Players Podcast. Here are your hosts, Peter Thomas Fornatel and Jonathan Kinchin.
Hello and welcome to the DRF Players Podcast, special video edition of the DRF Players Podcast from the DRF offices in New York. No Brooklyn bunker required, no Planet Texas required, here in the flesh to do show 335. It is the Friday, May 11th, 2018 edition. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fornatal, going to be with you here for the next 2 hours or so for a special edition of the pod, the Outplay JK Take 2 edition of the pod. And we bring in, on my left, the co-host of this show. You know him, you love him. He's the people's champion. He's Jonathan Kinchin. What's up?
PTF.
Good to see you.
I'm ready to get some pizza after this, and maybe an adult beverage. Last time we did this, we had adult beverages. I just have a water today, so I have to deal with that.
It's a little different when you're here in the office than in the comfort of home, that's for sure. But I think we're going to have a lot of fun here. I want to let people know what's going on, because you still have an opportunity, if you're watching live, to participate in these two events that are starting early. We've got a regular DRF tournament slate starting a bit later on, but in just about 8 minutes, we've got the main Outplay JK contest happening. I'll let you explain to people how that one works.
Yeah, it's a $27 feeder into tomorrow's $458 game. It's pretty simple. If you beat me, you get your $27 back, even if you don't qualify for tomorrow. So it's almost a free roll, depending on how good I do today. I like a little bit of chalk, so hopefully we can get that home. But yeah, no. So we did it before, and it was a lot of fun. Like you said, 156 people right now. That's pretty cool, pretty good. So hopefully we'll be able to. Hopefully I'll be able to keep the bosses happy a little bit, not give up too much money, but also help out the players and get a little bit of a rebate.
The pressure is on here. Another cool thing about this contest is it's using the live format. It's a rare opportunity for a lower buy-in player to get to change picks throughout the contest. There'll be all kinds of strategy. We'll be talking about some of that strategy as we go on here today. Another game folks want to be paying attention to that will also be happening on the Outplay JK set of races is a special feeder to the big money last chance game that's happening on Sunday. So for this qualifier, you put up 120 bucks, but what is it? 1 in 10 players will have an opportunity to win their I typoed on the screen there. That's my fault completely. I had a feeling I had written that wrong. It's 1 in 10 will have an opportunity to play in Sunday's game. The reason 1 in 5 was in my head is that in Sunday's big money last chance game, 1 in 5 will win their entire bankrolls for the Santa Anita World Horse Player Tour Preakness event. Let's talk about what they're playing for a little bit, JK. We've got the logo there behind us looking spectacular. The World Horse Players Tour. This is going to be the debut event. What's special about this contest?
Yeah, well, the first thing is we're going to be trying to film a TV show there. So that's the first thing that makes it a little bit different. And then the format's going to be different than anything we've seen before. We have a mythical live money final table where essentially you will take your bankroll from where you end up on Friday, and it'll transfer into Saturday into Sunday, and then on Sunday you'll have mythical money at that point, and you'll take your mythical bankroll, and you'll be able to bet win only. So that'll be the first time we've seen that. We think it'll increase the action, be easier to follow for the TV portion of it, and so and the other great part is it's all money is added. There's no entry fee. A lot of player-friendly things going on.
That $5,000, none of it goes to an entry fee. You get to bet it all. That's going to increase your chances of going home with more money than you started with, no matter how you end up in the prize pool part of the situation. So you've got that aspect going on, and all the money being added basically eliminates the takeout. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a positive expectation opportunity for players. We love to see those. You'll have one at the World Horse Players Tour. We'll be following along as we get our last chance qualifiers in. That's still the way you probably want to go. Try to win your way in. If you don't win your way in, you can buy your way in. If you have any questions about the tournament, you can hit us up on Twitter. We'll try to get to some questions during this show. You see our handles there up on the screen, but for the listening audience, at Looms Boldly here, at UT Big Hair there, and you're earning that handle. You're earning that handle, JK. It's looking good.
I'm trying to. I was going to wear my Texas hat, But then I decided I'd let the big hair out a little bit. It's a little lopsided on this side, or this side. I'm not sure.
All right, we've got less than 5 minutes left. It's time for the hard sell, and I think the guys in the truck know what I mean by that. We're gonna go to we're gonna do a little camera cut here, and I'm gonna do a little spiel to get you. If you're on the fence, no, you can't be laughing and smiling.
Oh, no,
that ruins it.
I'm getting ready.
Give him a moment here. Okay, we're ready. We're ready. All right, guys. There it is. Look at this face. He's still laughing and smiling and ruining my joke. He's supposed to be looking all like fake tough, and we'll give you one more chance. Don't cut away. Leave it on him. Just do the wipe.
All right,
we're gonna get this. We're gonna get this to work.
Let's see if the pick 3 boys will check this one out.
Okay.
Here we go.
Look at that face, ladies and gentlemen. How bad do you want to punch this guy in the face? It's no wonder Kevin McFarland at the Kentucky Derby wanted to punch this guy in the face. Now, you can't literally punch him in the face, but what you can do is humiliate him by playing in this contest right now, tournaments.drf.com, and having an opportunity to show him that at least today you were better than he is, and he should, shut up about all this stuff. This is your chance, tournaments.drf.com. Great opportunities to win into these last chance feeders, and a great opportunity to just have some fun and see your name above his on the leaderboard. You did pretty well, JK, the last time we did this. I think you finished, what, about 17th of 150, something like that?
Yeah, I thought it was like a 20-something, like 24th, but it was weird. I don't know if you remember, I didn't, the horse I wanted to play in the end wasn't going to allow me to win, and so I didn't want to play the horse I liked to just move past people. I wanted to pretend I was trying to win, and so I switched to a horse that actually got me a lot closer.
Gotcha. That's pretty funny. What will your attitude be today? Are you playing? I mean, last time I think you were able to qualify. You obviously can't play as one of the people involved in the World Horse Players Tour. You will not be playing in the Santa Anita Preakness event. So are you going to play to win, or are you going to play to make the corporate overlords at DRF happy and beat as many people? And I say that tongue firmly in cheek. Do as well as you can, save as much money for the company as you can.
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be. I mean, we joked the other day. If I'm competing, I'm trying to win. I don't care what it is. I don't usually shoot to try to win because I don't find those type of horses. I'll just try to get in the top 8, which would be a qualifying spot. So just try to pick winners. There's only 7 races, so in these types of situations, a 3-to-1 shot can make all the difference in the world. It doesn't have to be a cap horse or a 15-to-1 shot. So I'll just try to pick winners. I got a couple of shorties mixed in with the run that I already kind of laid out, and I'll adjust on the fly if I need to.
I like it. I like it. That short run of races definitely is going to impact, well, I shouldn't say definitely. You'd think it's going to impact the score significantly. Does it change your strategy at all when it comes to the horses that you're going to choose today? No,
I've talked to people about that all the time. I just try to pick winners. I try not to think too much about what it's going to take and who you need and all that stuff because it's too tricky. You never know what's going to happen. If the 4 wins now and it's 6-to-1, then whatever I thought I was going to do is irrelevant. Get your picks in, folks. We are down to seconds remaining. You have did you put in default picks for the whole tournament? I read a book one time, The Winning Contest Player by a guy with a beard, and one of the parts in there it said is when you're playing contests, always try to at least put something in case your internet goes out or whatever. So I have all of mine in, ready to rock and roll, but I'll adjust them as we go. Did you just play all the ones? No, I was thinking about it. I was either going to play all the ones like Hurricane Anthony Robb, or I was going to do all the 5s like Marvin. Good old Marvin, Bet-Runner Marv. What is his Twitter? I think it's at Bet-Runner Marv. It's Marv Bet-Runner or Bet-Runner Marv. Yeah, one or the other. Apologies on that one. He is a big fan of the number 5. All right, I think it's late enough. You can go ahead and reveal what you're going to do here. Should we wait a couple more jumps? I'm just joking. No, I use the 6, Cozy Spring. And I handicapped on the plane, so I don't have it like all memorized. There was a reason. I'm in Friday. I'm stalling. He just doesn't want to say. He's worried that you're going to convince somebody. No, I use a 6. Oh, the 6 has won 3 races out of 6 at Belmont and has won 4 times going 6.5.
Well, there you go. And they are off at Belmont. We'll take a look how many people we ended up with in the tournament here. You can tell us what kind of trip you're getting. Your head is high in the air. You are not running very smoothly. Wow.
What is that, Joel? Just let it run.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like to see when the horse's lip is higher than the horse's ear in the first 100 yards of the race. We'll talk about some of the other action we have going on at DRF tournaments throughout the day here with the normal lineup starting in a little bit. Have you settled down at all there, JK, or are you in trouble?
No, it's not good. And I just realized that I was making this face of like, the camera was zoomed in on me. I don't know why you didn't just let her roll.
Still out there on front, looks like the big favorite getting a nice first over trip, and there's something running up on there on the rail. It looks to have a little bit of run. Seems like it would be one of those three here. You haven't really been asked yet. Any chance you're going to find?
He's got a little bit of horse left. I just feel like he invited too many others into the race.
Yeah, I spoke too soon about it being a 3-horse race, as the winner appears to be coming from the far outside.
She's trying to
now.
Finish too. But
you might get some place points. Those could come in handy later. Gosh, you're fighting back here in the lane, JK. I don't think you're going to get all the way back up, but a huge race.
It was a really bad ride. It was frustrating.
Well, to give us your analysis.
If you let her, I mean, they went what 23-3. If he goes 22-4, he's got a 2 or 3 length advantage in that situation and doesn't have to try to re-rally. He's clear. So.
All right, we end up with 159 entries in this Outplay JK challenge. So we fall one. We'll have to see how attorney czar Michael Zapin chose to do this, but I assume that means we fall one short of being able to give out an 8th entry into tomorrow, and there'll be some breakage here as well. But that's a nice, robust, full field. And then in the big money game, we've got 26 players. Let's talk for a moment about these upcoming tournaments, and then we'll take a very quick look at the leaderboard. We've got 30 minutes to go. Here's one that you should definitely play in if you're listening to this live, and that is the free contest where you can start your journey for the World Championship of Handicapping for no money. Top 5 in there will win an $11 entry into Saturday's WCH feeder. No reason not to do that. We've got a round 1 contest priced at $95. For that one, you'll be looking to win into the Preakness Day Grade 1 WCH game. Also action if you want to play in the Belmont Stakes game, in the Del Mar game, or Saratoga's in there. Full slate of action. Check it out. It's still plenty of time to get involved, even if you're not doing the Outplay JK fun portion of things. Are they official yet? Do we have a leaderboard?
I don't think so. It usually takes a little bit longer than that.
I wasn't sure how long I was vamping for there. But in any case, let's go back and talk a little bit more about the tournament next weekend, Jonathan. This is a question that's come up a lot. A lot of people want to know what happens at the end of Saturday to you mentioned before that those live bankrolls transfer over to mythical bankrolls for the Sunday final table situation. But folks wanted to know, what does that mean? If you're one of those 8, what does that mean in terms of your live bankroll at the end of the day Saturday? Where does that end up?
Yeah, I mean, that money goes in your pocket. If your bankroll is $22,000, you get a voucher or you get cash, and you put it in your pocket. And then you show up on Sunday with $22,000, and that's what you'll use for the mythical all-win final table. And the reason I think that was the way that it was decided was you're going to be forced to play every race on Sunday, and didn't feel good about the idea of having people have to use real money, and we thought it might affect the way they play. But it's also there is real money still on the line. Every place is worth something, so picking winners is important, and I think it'll still resemble horseplay on a normal day.
It's just like a poker tournament, right? I mean, Absolutely. The money, they're not literally betting that money, but the money's very meaningful because it has to do with which slot you're going to end up in. And also, like a poker tournament, you can go all in at any time. Wherever your strongest opinion is, if you want to push all your chips in, you can do that. And then the minimum bets are going to increase through the day, just like blinds in a poker tournament, starting off with 1,000 and then adding, 500 a race as we go through. Should be lots of drama. It's a made-for-TV format. and we think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. We had another question come in, and maybe this is a good place to start in our analysis, and we'll come back to that leaderboard before we get to our next contest race. But we had a question about the Derby draft that we did a few weeks ago on the show, and our friend Chris Larmy was kind enough to send out a tweet with an updated leaderboard, which I believe producer Craig has and can show. There it is. And as described there, I have the commanding lead, of course, the trade up for Justify, the move that you wanted to make, that I made before you could, essentially, gets me to the front with 12 points. But, you know, this Good Magic news that I'm sure you've been following, JK, about him coming to the Preakness, sounding more likely like he's going to come to the Preakness, really means like there is all to play for in this contest. Were you surprised by that? I mean, we've seen Chad Brown do so many things. One club we haven't necessarily seen in his bag yet is the ability to come back in 2 weeks. What's your general vibe on Good Magic in the Preakness?
You know, I think that a lot of these horses, Good Magic and Bolt Doro both, probably weren't fully intended to show back up in 2 weeks, but with the hubbub that's been going on Twitter with the video and of all that stuff, I think that a lot of horses probably got a little bit more, and Connections, probably not just horses, but Connections got a little bit more confidence, thinking that they had a good shot. So I feel like that's what's happening here. I don't see how Good Magic turns the tables on Justify based on the trip last time. I mean, he didn't really have an excuse. He was right there with him, getting about the same situation that Justify got.
Probably a little better.
Probably better, actually.
Able to run a little more efficiently.
He didn't have, you know, Justify didn't have a target, and was you know, Good Magic did. So I don't see a world in which that like Good Magic turns the tables. And I feel the same way about Bolt Doro, who happens to be one of my picks that I picked. But you know, I feel like right after the race they talked about how they were going to wait until the summer. And then
when they want to run back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We'll talk another minute about that video and what you make of that, but I'll throw in my 2 cents here on the Good Magic situation. My best guess is they don't think he's a Belmont horse, and they don't want a part of that, and they're almost looking at it like a free roll. Like, this is a horse that there'll be some sort of obviously there'll be end of season targets for Good Magic, and they're figuring if they're not going to take a shot in the Belmont, they might as well try. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get that. I don't really knock the horse trying, but I feel the same way. If the Justify that we saw, you know, whatever, 7 days ago shows up, it doesn't really matter who runs.
Let's talk about this video. Of course, I'm sure you've all seen it by now. If not, you could find it on Twitter. I don't know a great feed to suggest, but you could probably. It wouldn't be hard to find. Justify, the morning after the race, looked a little bit the worse for wear, not really wanting to put weight on that left hind, and just looking generally ouchy. There have been a few different reasons ascribed to it there. Oh, wow, great work by producer Craig. There it is. You can sort of see him step hopping around there. I haven't actually heard the latest. There were a few stories coming out of the camp. The one that logically made the most sense to me was some sort of bone bruise on the foot that would make putting weight on it not super fun, but is something that would heal quickly. And in fact, we've seen video of him the last 2 mornings walking, and I haven't seen the one of him galloping yet, but apparently looks none the worse for wear. Is this a factor at all in how you're looking at the Preakness or Justify's chances going forward?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's visually not great to look at. Here's what I will say, though, is like, a couple things. One is I wouldn't want to walk on those rocks either. The second one is, you know, why don't you go for a walk tonight? 30, 45 minutes, and then wake up in the morning and tell me if you're a little stiff in behind. I mean, he just ran 1.25 miles, 45 and change to the half. I mean, he's probably a little sore. I mean, they're athletes, and they're out there banging on each other and banging on the ground and banging on their bodies, and you know, we don't usually have the privilege of seeing a horse the day after a race. So, I mean, I know a lot of horse people that were concerned, but, you know, if he's galloping fine and he gets on that plane, I'm not worried about it.
Harken back to your football days for a second, JK. Your athletes that you were working closely with, physically after a game. I mean, if you saw the human equivalent of that, what would it mean, if anything?
Yeah, it looks worse than that usually. You know, we'd have kids that would walk out of the locker room that night on their way home with a boot on, and then they'd play the best game of their lives the next week. You know, a lot of that stuff, it's your body's just sore. It's trying to heal. You know, you're banging on your body in those situations, and you know, the next mornings we would come and watch film, and you'd have kids with shoulders wrapped up in ice and boots and all kinds of stuff and turf burns, and the next week they're fine. So I'm not trying to discount that we need to take, you know, the equine health seriously. I think he'll be fine, and if he's not fine, he won't run.
Right, he's worth too much.
He's worth too much money,
and these people care too much about their animals as well.
Absolutely,
it's not just financial.
Absolutely.
Okay, so maybe we can return to that later if it comes up. But I do want to get to a recap of this leaderboard. I think you have the power to demonstrate it, but I'll start talking through it while we get the image ready. We had 25 people with that winner, JK. Pretty good, pretty solid amount. So the top folks are going to have 20, 50. You can see the list of them there. I feel bad giving shout-outs because I'm going to leave people out, but so many big contest supporters. I see the kid from Louisiana, Grant Lagrange. His name up there. Apparently he's going to be making his triumphant return to Saratoga. Speaking of Saratoga regulars, Pete Dressens, dead heat for the best dressed man in racing with Steve Bick. Pete Dressens, one of the names up there. Pat Gianforte, big contest regular. David Nelson, another guy I've seen all over the country going around here.
Gilbert Maldonado lives in Austin, the Planet Texas. He's representing.
Nice. I always like to see that. Sam Stinson has been a friend of the pod from way back. Blake Courtney, among the people who hit the place price. That's a name of somebody I've seen on a lot of these leaderboards trying to get his way out there. And NHC champ Brian Troop, also in that group along with you, as well as somebody whose contention has run very deep in the NHC Tour, the honor you won a few years ago, Brett Wiener. Lots of familiar names. Very glad to see so many folks participating in this tournament. When do we have our next race here? How far out are we?
Santa Anita 2, so it says 9 minutes to post down there in the corner.
Do you feel comfortable talking about the race without giving a selection? I think that might be...
Yeah, it's fun to be cheeky.
Talk, and don't put anybody away here. But,
no.
Go ahead and let's take a look through as we have what appears to be a baby race.
It is a 2-year-old, so that's always fun. You know, the Simon Callahan horse is is there odds anywhere? I guess it's a morning
Those are
line.
Morning line odds.
Yeah,
you pop it up on your DRF bets account over there.
Well, I think one of the things you want to do in these races is see who's getting bet. You know, all these first-time starters like that. Sometimes that can be one of the easiest
There's
things.
signal in the tote board.
Right.
When you don't, people ask that all the time. Like, what do you look at when there's no PPs? Well, you're going to look at trainers, you're going to look at sires, you're going to look at dams, and you're going to look at money. And workout reports would be the other one. But the money definitely, while I wouldn't say, I'd love an opportunity actually to bet a horse who's a long shot still if those other boxes are ticked. Let's say the great Mike Maloney angle from Betting with an Edge, the overproducing dam. If you can see a dam who's dropped 4 winners from 4 starters or something, somehow that information doesn't seem to always get priced into the market effectively. That's the kind of angle I love in there. Or you can just see a sire is win early. And another fun thing to do, and this is a good formulator trick, you go back and you look at a certain trainer with their first-time 2-year-olds, and you'll see certain ones who win at prices that tends to be a repeatable pattern. For whatever reason, that barn, the way those trainers train, doesn't catch the clocker's eye as much, or you could, I guess, suggest there's something cheeky going on and maybe they're not fully demonstrating the horse's full ability in the morning. But those are the kinds of angles I like in these kind of races. But very often that money will tell, as you say.
Yeah, no, I'm a workout report guy when it comes to these. I want to see the words like speed, gas, pop from the gate, whatever. Because, it's 2 different games that we're playing here. This is a 4.5 furlong race, so I don't care if you can win at a mile. I want to know if you can win it at 4.5. And I think the favorite here, Tajori, will take charge out of a Tappet mare. That doesn't scream 4.5 to me.
No, you would think longer. Though looking at the body, is that the horse right there, the 3? There's a close coupled horse who looks very speedy. It's funny, the pedigree suggested longer to me, but just looking at the horse, it looked like a little rocket.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And then the 4 for O'Neill's not taking any money, 30 to 1. So that's not always encouraging.
Don't love that energy really in the as we see in the post parade. Not really up on the toes. Just sort of looks a little confused.
This one's got a good name. This is what I call the Prince of Keeneland. I call him Honcho. So I'm sure he's betting this one off of a hunch
play.
Yeah, hunch
Is he
play.
Playing in the Outplay contest, by the way?
He says he was. I don't know. I didn't see his name because he probably didn't have that winner. It's not really his thing. He doesn't pick winners, but. No, I don't. I'm sure he's on here somewhere. He said he was
picks
playing.
stakes winners. I'll tell you that much.
That's true. That is true.
As in his line of bloodstock work. Any other thoughts on this one? Any clues?
Yeah, no, I liked. There's probably 3 in here I liked. I thought about taking the 4, honestly. Factor of 2, the one that's 30 to 1.
Oh, was that the O'Neill one?
Yeah, the one that's 30 to 1. This O'Neill's one is the one that's getting bet, but you know, it's weird in these races. It's just when the race goes, let's just see who pops first, right? And that horse usually will stay around, and so it's hard to guess who that's going to be. But when they pop in these 4.5s and even in the 5s, it's kind of my turf sprint theory. I just want to know who's going to be on the front. I'm going to use that horse, and then I'm going to try to find something talented that's going to be close.
All right. Do you have your final selection? You don't have to give it yet, but I'm just curious. You know.
Yeah, I know.
You know what you're going to do. I assume that price, decent price, winning the first leg. In a 7-race contest, you know, how early do you think about changing your strategy?
No, I won't change it much until, I don't like changing it until the end. And like even with like the 6th race, right? I want to pick a horse, even if he's short, that will give me the best chance of picking the horse I want to pick in the last. I don't like starting to chase early. I think a lot of people do that. They'll start chasing really early, and I think that's a mistake, and I try not to do that. So
the old double move.
Yeah, exactly.
And that could lead us into a good discussion about the Kentucky Derby betting challenge, but I just remembered we had a rundown for this show, and I figure we should like try to stick to it a little bit. What do you think?
I'm in.
What do we got? About 3 to 4 minutes over there?
Yeah, we got something like that.
Okay, let's take a look at what I said we were going to talk about. I said we were going to talk about Yoshida, and that is a perfect thing for us to talk about on the show. I can't believe we actually went a whole show on Tuesday without talking about this horse, who we flagged up right from the debut as one who had the potential to be something special. One thought that definitely needs to, you did actually mention quickly to say that one of the reasons why you upgraded, I think this was on the show, it might have just been in conversation, was the way that the turf course was playing last weekend. It seemed like the more rain that came, the worse the inside was on the turf course. But I mean, did Yoshida win this on the square?
Yeah, no, I think he did. I mean, I don't know. I mean, well, yes, I think he did. Was Beach Patrol probably cranked at his best? We'll see better from him. I would assume so. But Yoshida was turning, from 3 to 4. There's always going to be improvement there. I think an important part to notice about Yoshida is, and this is something that I talked to our friend Jack Jenkins about yesterday, was if you look at Yoshida's past performances, obviously his maiden winner was impressive, but his best race was a week ago. I mean, I'm sorry, a week from now, last year in the Preakness, and it was in a wet turf course where he made that huge move from last. He got left, and Joel took him way back and then circled, and he won for fun. That was on it. So he obviously likes a little cut in the ground, and I think he showed that, and he should be fun to watch, man. I'm excited to watch him.
You've heard the plan, right?
Yeah, it's Ask It, isn't it?
Queen Anne, baby. So I'll be there to watch that one in person, and it should be. We got to get you over for that.
I don't know about the tails though.
I'm not going to the Royal Enclosure. They can have their monkey suits. I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna be in the Queen Anne Enclosure. I'll just put on my best suit, and we'll go from there. It shouldn't be. It was last year. Normally it's in the 60s at that time of year. Last year it was in the 90s, and it was a bit rough. I actually spent way too much time in the press room as a result. But it'll be interesting to see who shows up. I haven't looked at the future betting. That actually is probably worth doing while we chat here for that one. I think there's a little bit to recap about the Pat Day race, the Pat Day Mile. Surprising result with Funny Duck getting the job done. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't met anyone yet. Well, I know one person, Sean Borman, who liked Funny Duck, but everyone else I've talked to, no one said, like, hey, did you have that? Did you have that? Did you have that? No one's No one said yes except for Sean. It's tricky, man. It's that race. There's a lot of horses that I think you were hoping were going to run good, right? Like you hoped that you were going to see Mask. You hoped that there was a hint for how Mississippi ran in the Florida Derby. You hoped that Madison's Luna could turn into a good horse, or that National Flag could get a good trip. And none of those things happened. And next thing you know, Funny Duck, New York Central, and Give Me a Minute all ran well. And I don't know if you know this, but our friend Nick Tamro had the try.
Oh, he did?
In the contest, yeah.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Like 18, 19.
What was his angle? Did you talk to him about his angle?
Well, you know how Nick does tickets. He keyed, I think he keyed New York Central and Give Me a Minute, and then just caught the all in the front. He's
a good ticket instructor, good bet writer.
And so he just caught it with the all with his keys.
That is the kind of strategy that's worth talking about. For all that we talk about how we don't like the all, in certain races, having it where every horse is at least essentially a C, where in other words you're going to catch something with a horse like Funny Duck, even if you didn't really like the Churchill Pick 6 sequence last night was another great example of that, with that horse that won that was at the Turf Sprint. A nutty horse, but the right kind of bet construction where you have every horse, you don't bet every horse equally, but you bet all a little bit, and then you essentially press B's more than the C's and A's more than the B's and C's, and that can be a very clever way to write bets. We'll come back to Funny Duck. They're going into the gate here at Santa Anita, Jonathan. I think you ready to reveal what you're going to do?
Yeah, I wanted to play the 4. I think the 4 is going to run good, but I'm gonna use the 7. A lot of steam on that one.
Okay.
Workout reports, loved them. B pluses all over the place. He's been working with the 5 horse, outworked the 5 horse a couple of times. Not that the 5 horse is being bet, but the late money on the 7 suggests that he'll run well. So try to pick up some money here. Try to beat the 3 and the 8 here with the 7 horse.
All right, that'll be good. We're going into the gate at Santa Anita. We'll keep it here. We'll give our thoughts during the race. There's no in-running wagering, as far as I know, anywhere in the world, but we can. I'll ask you your prices as they after they break from the gate. What is your 7 horse at the moment?
He was 2-1 when they were loading. I don't know what he is now. The feed we're watching doesn't have.
They have popped. You are being quarter horsed. Are you making the front?
No, I didn't make the front.
No, you are a lot longer than 2-1 from here, and I would say that the
pretty impressive that the 3 broke that well.
Yeah, this 3 is probably gone. I would say that's got to be odds on in running, though the 4 is right there too. But we'll have to see what happens here.
The 7's running. The 7 will finish.
So you think you can get by this horse?
I don't think I'll get by him, but I think he's running though.
Horse maybe.
You know, it's funny, these 4.5 races, like they look like they're in trouble, and then they like really level off late.
That is interesting. I don't know what you ascribe that to. But you are making a little bit of a run here.
I'm gonna run second.
I think you might get another second.
The 30-1 shot's gonna run second that I didn't use.
Oh, that would be a bit of a bummer. Yeah, you have flattened all the way out. How about this 2 making the big run from last? The 3 wins easily. The 4 holds second
that horse.
there.
That was silly.
Which one did you want to use?
The 4, yeah. I said it before.
What was you did say it. What was your case?
It was just racetrack talk. I heard that the horse is really fast.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It was not reflected in the workout report?
I was working at St. Louis Ray.
Oh, always tricky without the clockers at St. Louis Ray. How do you do that? How do you reconcile something you hear with real proper workout report data?
If the horse had been 15-1, I would have played it. But the fact that it was 35-1 and like absolutely dead on the board.
That's interesting. So it bit you. That same.
I bet you. You know who I bet had that? I bet you the Prince of Keeneland had
it. Well, we'll see if he jumps up onto the leaderboard here. What odds were I looking at? Oh, I was going to look at the Queen Anne odds. Let's go back to Funny Duck for a second. So Nick had just.
The Prince of Keeneland had it.
Oh, good stuff. Just as an include. Sean Borman, you mentioned, like the horse, professional player out of Lexington, who will be competing in the World Horse Players Tour Santa Anita Preakness event. I learned today. We appreciate that support very much. For this idea to succeed, for these tournaments with player-friendly terms to work, the more support that we can get from players, the better chance we're going to have to make an impact on this landscape.
Even just coming to hang out.
Yeah.
If you can't, if for whatever reason you can't play in the contest, come hang out.
It's going to be a good scene. There will be an audience in there for that Sunday final table. But Sean, the case on Funny Duck was basically he had the last race faster than most other people did. So that was a little piece that you make
the turf race or the dirt race?
The turf race. A little bit of proprietary information there. And he liked the horse's finishing ability in a race where there wasn't a lot of other good finishing ability. And for him, when you have an opportunity in a race, when the other horse's numbers aren't that much stronger, it becomes a little bit of a chaos race, as we describe in betting with an edge. And in a chaos race, if you have a horse that just doesn't look far behind, that's a big price. You know, you can make a case for the horse, and that's what he did with Funny Duck. I have a listener mail here that I'll try to dig up too. We had a listener chime in, and I didn't even read it yet, but I was going to save it for the show with another case on Funny Duck. But I mean, to me, it was a hard one. I talked to Sean about the race, and I thought that the case made sense as a long shot to run second or third, not as a horse necessarily to win the whole thing. All right, so the market hasn't really formed yet for the Queen Anne Stakes. La Brevido is your 7-1 favorite right now. A few other familiar names, actually including Lamato, if you remember Lamato from
that was like the
Breeders'
sprinter,
Cup.
right?
Correct. Yeah. Listed in here at 10-1. Lancaster Bomber listed at 14-1. Thunder Snow here at 12. Deauville at 16.
Is Thunder Snow, is that the race that would fit him best there?
I don't know. I would have thought maybe after running so well, going farther, they would have thought Prince of Wales.
It's uphill though, isn't it?
It's not that stiff. There is a little bit of it is uphill, but it's not like super duper testing. I mean, I think a horse like that, my gut would be the mile might be a little sharp, but we'll have a lot more information. We'll have to do some extra Ask It coverage this year because it just seems like every season we're getting more and more USA participation, and that's just going to continue to increase our interest in it.
Got a leaderboard.
You have a leaderboard?
We do.
Yeah, go talk us through that while I find this other Funny Duck piece.
Let's see. Art Gilbert Maldonado, the guy from Austin, my man. He had the winner last time, and the 4-horse capped out at $22.
Wow.
And then the Prince of Keeneland.
Nice.
Slides into 10th. Let's see who else.
Roll us through our top 5 here. I think we can now that it's separated a little bit.
We got Kevin Ma. Is that how you pronounce it? Do you know that?
I don't know Kevin, but that looks like a good
Rudolph Harden.
Good shot.
Gilbert Maldonado, Steve Turner, and Brett Wiener.
Oh, Brett Wiener. It'd be very fun to see him out at Santa Anita. Hoping that happens. It'll be good to we'll follow this along. Any other names of any other podcast regulars making any noise?
I didn't see anybody else. In the top 20. Grant LaGrange is still holding on to 22nd. So the guys that had the first winner, if you just had the first winner, then it's good enough for 17th still.
Okay, this is great. This dovetails in perfectly. This was not a case for Funny Duck. It was somebody who was puzzled by Funny Duck. Jay, he said, describing Funny Duck, a turf horse who had only one poor maiden start on dirt. Trainer was 0 for 34 going from turf to dirt. Nothing in the PPs jump out to me as a winner. And at 39-1 odds, it seems like no one else liked him to win either. My question for JK is, doesn't this outcome make the case for sometimes using the all button in multi-race wagers? We were just talking about it, but answer it directly.
I stick to it. Like, we were talking to Eric Bialik yesterday, our friend Eric Bialik, and I said, like, I only hit like 5 or 6 significant bets a year, and I'm okay with that. I just don't believe in using the all button because of all the times you'll use it, you'll waste enough money that doesn't even make that worth it.
Right. Well,
I just don't.
I think there's a point. To me, Derby Day or like the Churchill Pick 6 carryover, when you know you're dealing with a positive expectation, and you've got a super strong opinion, a la Justify on the end. Potentially, I assume you played Stone Cold on the end. I do think you can make that case of just identifying a race or two in a sequence. That's a chaos race. And I don't really believe in just throwing up your hands and saying, well, I'm going to play every horse the same. But where you say, this is a chaos race, I want to have every horse for at least something to my two strongest opinions later. I think it's smart.
Fine with that. That's not the all button, though. The all button to me is actually hitting that button that says ALL. I'm cool with using every horse in a sequence and making 5 of them A horses, 4 of them B horses, and 4 of them C horses. Like in a race, like I'm cool with that. Like that makes sense to me. Like I feel like that's not like too caveman inefficient. There's actually you're still weighting those opinions. I'm fine with that.
Gotcha. Okay,
But
that's a good bit of clarification, though.
Yeah. I
You're
just
not
don't like
against using every horse. You're against using every horse equally.
There's absolutely no way that you were supposed to have Sporting Chance equal to Mask, or Sporting Chance equal to National Flag, or whoever. It's just, it doesn't. Those horses are going to win more than Sporting Chance is.
Man, you were right. I was wrong about Mask. We almost went head-to-head on that one. I think I'm lucky that I didn't lose my 17th in a row to you on that one, JK. Did you see any excuse? Just a sloppy track thing? It seemed like he was very soft in the market. Friends who were betting overseas said he was very soft in the markets over there. I'm just wondering if he's not worth another chance back on a dry track.
I would imagine. I would just imagine just off of no experience, but just like that's a challenging spot to come back into, a 1-turn mile with those type of horses in the slot.
Well, yeah, the slop definitely pushes.
Without him, and he didn't have a great trip. So I kind of forgive him.
Yeah, we talk about this with trips sometimes. There's different kinds of bad trips. There's the bad trips that you sort of give extra credit to a horse for when looking forward. In other words, a horse who still fires and runs a race and has a trip, you might look to view that horse more positively. Then there are trips where it's just the old draw a line through it. The race is so bad, you don't make any evaluation, you put the X next to the trip, and you go back to the race before when you're trying to evaluate the quality of the horse. I think that's the case for Mask. I think that's the case for Mendelssohn. We are going into the gate here at Belmont. Why don't you tell us about this race and wrap it with your selection?
Yeah, I made a switch. I was going to play the 1, Susan B. Anthony. The horse is working with, I'm going to go blank on the name. The horse is running in the stake tomorrow that we'll talk about in a little bit for Chad. Working in the Bogey.
A few of them.
A river, I don't remember. Anyways,
this
one's been working with that one.
The Italian Group 1 form.
This one's been working with that one. But 9 to 5 is too short with these people starting to get away from me here. So I went with a little bit of a bigger price. I took the 3 at 10 to 1. Time form US closing into slow paces. So I took the 3 Soar from Shadows. I'm just hoping that Javier will keep her close enough. And if he can, I think she'll finish.
I love that angle. Time form codes those paces visually. The slow one's blue, the fast one's red. The horses who can still show closing kick, when it's into those slow paces, it's almost masked from most people's view. And of course, that's where the real running happens in turf races. They've broken here at Belmont. Are you happy with your spot?
Yeah, if he just doesn't yank her back any further, just keep her right there.
Yeah, it's hard. Riding closers, it's a tricky thing, and you see sometimes where a horse, Hofburg, pops to mind in the Kentucky Derby, where they take the idea of just drop in behind, try to get him to shut off, and come running. That for me is a much harder trip than even for a closer. Just get some kind of position going forward before you try to save ground, as opposed to just dropping anchor.
It looks like they're running a little bit, huh? They're strung out. I've picked that up along the years of, like, when you see them strung out like that, it usually means they're traveling.
Yeah, usually means they're going a gallop.
22 and
yeah, they're
22
going
and
very
2.
fast. So you're in a very nice spot, and I like the sort of the cadence of your gallop too. Looks like you've got some horse here. You'd be shorter, I think, in running than your starting price.
I'm surrounded by Chads, which is always a good thing. She did that on her own.
Yeah, making a little move up into the race now.
It was hard for me to switch off of Susan B. Anthony for obvious reasons.
What is going on here? And you mean just because
trouble.
You're the favorite? Susan B. Anthony, the favorite, is making a run down at the rail, but has a ton of work to do. What's going to happen here? With this swift pace, you'd expect these closers to be able to
I'm
get
finishing,
up to the
but I don't
wire.
know why he went inside. Get out! Get out!
JK looking to get second here. I think the bird has flown with the 8 winning, and it looks like you're going to be another second.
It's 12-1 though.
Yeah, not a bad second at all.
Frustrating.
If you'd stuck to your guns, you'd be in great shape here. The DRF bosses would be happy. They'd be ready to,
No, I wasn't going to. I was using the other Chad. There's two. There's the
no,
one
I meant in the last race.
Oh, in the last race.
You'd have that place capper, and then you'd have 3 places, and you'd be in a lot better.
I know. At this
shop.
point, I'm going to have to pay for the adult beverage after this, aren't I?
It's looking that way.
That's good points.
Yeah. No, you're going to be all right.
Will I outscore the 8?
Yeah, you should, right? The 8 was 2-1.
But,
right?
So my place will outscore the 8.
I think so. That'll get you past some people. I like how seriously you're taking this. Let's talk very quickly.
I can't let Jake beat. That's what I'm really concerned.
Scott Calder, our friend Scott Calder, who I don't know, I think it's the middle of the night in New Zealand. I don't know if he's watching this or not, but he was that for him is on his horse playing. This is an incredibly successful guy in the breeding operation, head of marketing for Ashford, a very prestigious job at is it Cambridge? Yep. Stud in New Zealand, and still he puts on his actual resume under like special talents. Once beat JK, once outplayed JK. He's very proud of it. So Jake could have a similar resume builder here if he can hang on over the course of the next few races and beat you. Talk very quickly about the American Turf. Maraud gets the job done. I whiffed on this one. Is this a horse that you used at all?
Not on a ticket.
Not anywhere?
No, but I keyed the horse that ran second. But I didn't have Maraud on the ticket. I loved Captivating Moon. He was one that we'll probably talk about. We've been talking about it. We'll talk about it more. Was on the outside, closing closing on the outside at Keeneland during the Keeneland meet, where the inside is where you wanted to be, and forwardly placed as well. And he closed well that day. But
did you happen to notice the dam of Maraud?
I didn't, but I didn't notice it. I know who it is now because you've told me, and it's. Luckily, I missed Funny Duck. If this would have been the one that cost me, then I really would have been upset. You know what though? I guess I would have hit 5 of 6 if it wasn't for this.
Yeah.
And 5 of 6 paid like 33,000.
Yeah, not bad.
So maybe the Arklow thing is still haunting me.
Well, and that's for those who don't know. This horse, a brother to Arklow, who caused us such wagering pain in this very race last year. I think we got to pay a little more attention to this dam's progeny on wet turf on Kentucky Derby undercard. What do you think?
I'm gonna go to Fasig-Tipton or Keeneland or whatever and try to buy one and see if I can. And buy him, just make him a pet so that he can't beat me out of picks.
You are ridiculous. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the Churchill Downs, winner for the podcast with Limousine Liberal on this one. I meant to ask you this, I don't know the answer. Did I save your contest life by encouraging you to not go? You were about to go. Well, tell the story.
Yeah, no, I was gonna make a move and go all in, just using Awesome Slew and Imperial Hint into the American Turf. And which
wouldn't have worked. You were over 2.
I would have been over that. It was a very good talk out of.
Sometimes the best bets are the ones you don't make. And my point was just that I thought there were enough flaws in the favorites, and you had the opportunity to have 3 other horses I thought who could potentially win. Fortunately, I had picked the right one. One of the few things I was right about on the undercard. But what were your other takeaways from that race? What are you looking? Anybody you're looking to bet going forward?
I was a little disappointed with Awesome Slew. I thought he hung a little bit. I mean, did break out at the beginning of the race, so probably had a little bit of an excuse. But I thought he hung a little bit, and then I probably owe Warriors Club and all the people of the Churchill Downs Racing Club an apology because I thought he had no shot. Funny enough, I heard when I was the race before this, I was in the booth with Travis, and some Churchill Downs people came by. And if that horse would have won Warriors Club, they were going to have to take the winner's circle picture in the paddock because there were so many of the people from the Churchill Downs Racing.
That's wild. That's cool.
Yeah. So, but Limousine Liberal is a cool horse, man. He's a nice horse, good horse. Runs on anything. He's back to back. He's turning into the new Devisidero, except he's not making me any money.
He likes a fight, that horse, doesn't he?
Does.
Which is cool. Awesome Slew. It was interesting. The workout report was not great going in. Now, I've learned over the years not to take workout reports on sprinters too literally. It seems like more than any other division, they can be just being fine or not even working all that well and show up big on race day. And it sounds like with the trip excuse, you wouldn't be giving up on him just yet.
No, I mean, I wouldn't give up on him. He's been running against too many good horses, but I just would have liked to have thought he would have kind of finished the job. He looked like he was going to. He came off the rail and he looked like he was going to finish, and he just kind of, he just kind of hung a little bit.
Imperial Hint, any excuse there?
No, I still think he's really good, but the 2 times he showed up, he can't get the job done against these like bigger type of horses. I don't know. I mean, he wasn't great at Tampa. Maybe that race wasn't hard enough. Maybe that race didn't get him fit enough for what he needed to do in this spot. The way he runs kind of all out. So maybe he wasn't fit enough to do so. So
I like that
maybe
read.
The next one.
I like that read.
I guess maybe the True North or something like that. Or maybe, I don't think they'll stretch him out to try to run the Met Mile or anything off of that performance. But
you wouldn't think. You would think they'd want some lower hanging fruit, even despite, though, I mean, it's such a risk reward proposition that, right. Anything's possible. Let's continue to go through some of these races from Derby weekend. We've got a few minutes till our next at Santa Anita for the contest. Proctor's Ledge. I thought you had a great angle on Proctor's Ledge. And this was a pod winner too, right?
I think I picked. Well, I think I was like kind of like. I think I gave Dream a while and her.
Okay, you can't really claim the winner, but
I can't claim the winner. I can claim the push.
Yeah, you put people in the right direction on this one, and remind us why.
Yeah, I just think she's a good horse, and her last her two races this year as a 4-year-old, she's been wide. I don't think she really likes Keeneland. All of her races that she doesn't really show up, the QE2 last year, and then
big trip last time though.
Right? Yeah, no, she was wide. She had no trip.
Very
at all.
wide, and as you've pointed out before, that was the opposite turf course of what we saw at Churchill over the weekend, where it seemed like the inside was worth, I'd say, a little bit more than just the geometry of the track. Even it seemed like it was pretty good down there.
I heard from 2 different sources that if this was scratching, this is the scratch ledge, they were about to jump off and scratch her because of the soft grass.
Is that right?
I would imagine they're glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, I'll say so. Just another example of how.
The thing for her though is she's won so many grade 2s and grade 3s now. Now she's gonna have to, like, at this point, it's like you gotta start running her in grade 1s because she's already got the 2s and the 3s knocked out.
Yeah, for value purposes.
The waters are gonna get a little bit deeper. Maybe just a game on Belmont Day, but then you're going to run into 3 Chads that are going to be.
Chad has so many though. You're going to be running into 3 Chads. You circle the Diana, you're going to have that problem. It's. I think you're right though. It's time to take a shot. I mean, even she's not Group 1 placed, is she?
I don't know. I don't think she is yet.
So I mean, that's got to be the goal in terms of what they're thinking about this year. It'll be interesting. Hopefully, she can go into the deeper water and keep things up. Very cool horse. Even if she did cost you that ridiculous facial hair bet with me at Keeneland a while back. Let's talk about American Gal. I've got a great story about American Gal that folks might have heard if they read my article about Frank and Patrick McGoey. But any race analysis of the Humana Distaff before I get into the human interest piece of it?
No, I thought, I think Finley's Lucky Charm is probably just like that little cut below some of these types, the grade 1 types. I needed Ivy Bell. I was alive in a double to Ivy Bell. I played, I played a double with McCracken and Behavioral Bias into Ivy Bell. And in fact, it was one of the 2 bets I made on Derby Day when I needed to make 4. But I needed Ivy Bell right there for a significant score. The workout report liked her. I thought she had a trip last time. I think she's good. I think she's got a grade 1 with her name on it at some point this year, whether it's at at Belmont or at Saratoga or somewhere. She'll continue to improve for Todd. This is only the 2nd time he's run her, so I think she'll continue to move in the right direction.
That makes perfect sense. The story I was talking about, Frank McGoey, who has such an excellent eye for horseflesh anyway. The story about him going down to check earlier in the week on this claimer, Quiet Concert, I believe was the name, who he'd owned over the winter, who'd since been claimed away, and going down and just being knocked out by the looks of American Gal. And this is a guy who self-described, he does not do his work on the day. He's a preparer, and he gets the ideas and he writes them down on his sheet and he bets those horses. And American Gal was the sort of the exception to that, where even though he'd identified, I think it was Ivy Bell, as the Humana Distaff winner previously, changed his tactics and ended up also talking his brother Patrick into using the horse, and that really got their contest lives going. In the end, Patrick ends up winning the whole thing. Frank ends up running third. I think that, to me, is one of the great ironies of contest play, that Frank's a grinder, right? He's coming out to the Santa Anita Preakness contest. He's a guy who plays horses every opportunity he can. Patrick, he loves contests, but he kind of plays in them to hang with his bro. And yet, these 3 major wins, Patrick now 2 Breeders' Cup betting challenges and a Kentucky Derby contest. Frank's had plenty of success in his own right, finishing second last year in the KDBC and running third this year. It's not like he hasn't had success, but the fact that the comparative dilettantes
no, they're great.
The wins.
They're great. They're a lot of fun. They're always, in this game, there's a lot of guys that they're happy for you when you win, and it's genuine, and those guys are both like that, and so I was happy to see them do so well.
While we're talking contest, I wanted to clarify a couple of points I made on Tuesday's show. One is, it was pointed out to me that I was probably a little unfair to the Churchill one-winner pick 6, whose financial terms are not quite as, what are we going to say, onerous to the player as the Gulfstream version. More money does get returned in those. So, I'm still not a big fan of the whole single winner situation, but I think I was a little unfair to make it sound like those 2 bets were the same, when if you look closely at the financial terms, they're not. And the other thing was, some people were under the impression that that I was blaming the rules for your DQ. And I think I tried to make a joke about it. And I did offer an honest opinion about how the rule was written that I'll stand by, but for not 1 second do I think anything should have happened there except for you to have been thrown out. And I don't think you'd disagree either, would you?
No, I should have been DQ'd. Yeah. There's no doubt. I should not have been. I should have bet 4 races. I didn't. I bet 2. I should have been DQ'd.
Right. And the irony, of course, that you, somebody who spent the last 6 months writing tournament rules, didn't bother to closely read tournament rules. What do you have to say for yourself about that?
Silly me. Yeah. No. I mean, it is what it is, right? You know what? You know what would have hurt a lot worse is if the sting came out of it with doing well. So it helped, and the group of people I was with were encouraging and got my brain off of it pretty quickly. So it's no big deal. It happens.
It is what it is. But I just didn't want people to think that I was putting blame where it doesn't belong. We'll leave that for other people and another day. All right. How many minutes do we have here for our next race? 6 minutes? Oh, let's keep yapping then. Because we haven't yet talked about Monomoy Girl and the Kentucky Oaks. What did you think of this performance?
She was good. She worked out a trip from the outside. I think a lot of people were concerned about that. Our friend, and we were lucky to have Paul Matisse on, and he said that he thought the 14 would be fine for her, and it was. I think the biggest tricky moment for me was I did not like Wonder Godot, and I have been successfully dodging her all spring. And then she hops up here and runs second. Luckily, I didn't really play the race much. I didn't have much of an opinion. I just kind of played into the race with doubles, and then I played out into Justify. So I thought she was good. I thought Midnight Bisou ran well.
Was there a trip there?
No, I mean just a closer's trip. I think that the thing about her that's interesting is I think she'll really excel throughout the rest of the year, and it's not because she's gonna get away from Bill Sparrow, which is unfortunate, but I think she'll do well with an East Coast campaign where she'll have a chance to close on some deeper, tiring tracks. I think she'll be tough at at Saratoga this summer, and I thought she was good though.
Tell that story of what happened there.
Yeah, I think that Jeffrey Bloom at Bloom Racing, they just decided they're going to keep the horse on the East Coast, so they kept him, to do the East Coast thing for the 3-year-old races. And there is a point to that. The 3-year-old dirt racing on the East Coast is better than it is on the West Coast. If you go down to Del Mar, most of the 3-year-old races they're not restricted. They're turf races for 3-year-old.
Yeah, they have that great program.
Right. And it's a good program, but not if you have a dirt horse. So they decided to keep the horse with Asmussen and keep it on the East Coast. And I would imagine that she'll go up to Saratoga with them. And I think she's got a grade 1 with her name on it somewhere.
Monomoy Girl, just to recap there, 97 buyer speed figure. Not sure how fast that race came out on time form. That Wonder Godot performance for me was one of the tougher ones to explain. It just seemingly came out of nowhere. The only thing in doing the customary red board was how much better her other 1 1/8 race was in the Demoiselle last year. And I wondered, this is something I used to say on the show all the time, and I've kind of gotten away from it, that and this could just be explaining something to have an explanation, seeing a pattern that isn't there. I'm going to be fully admitting that. But we have talked before about that idea that the difference between a 1/16 and a 1 1/8 on the dirt is very often more than a mere 1/16 of a mile. The races can just sort of shape differently.
Right.
What do you buy that at all with her?
Yeah, sure. No, I think so. I mean, and here's the other thing is I heard throughout the week, I think I heard it from Steve Bick and maybe a couple other people, that she was apparently like galloping like a monster. So I mean, that was probably a little bit of a hint there. But when I heard that, I was like, I don't care. I'm not playing her because I don't like her, and I've been trying to beat her all year, so I'm going to continue to do that. And I would have been very upset if I was involved in the exacta pool and would have got beaten that race. But luckily, I was just playing in the doubles.
I had I gave out on out of the gate a double key in the try, and was right, and still didn't give out the winning ticket, which is always annoying. But yeah, that was a situation where another situation where my not giving out the all cost me. I'd say that's another situation, sort of the theme of the show, talking about these all bets today, not unlike that try that Nick constructed. When you can get insurance for a very small amount of money, when it doesn't cost you much to cover something quote-unquote crazy or that you think is crazy going in, and as long as you're not betting it inefficiently, as long as you're weighting the horses you like more, that might also have been a spot where I could have put in a 50-cent try to give the people, all the bets were, Monomoy and Bisou have to run in. I felt a little silly not giving out that winning ticket.
If you're betting into a pool and you're betting 25 wagers and you have an all in some of those 25, I'm okay with that, right? Because that's a little bit more efficient. I have a problem with the all button when you're playing in a you're making one ticket. You're playing in a pool. You're playing a pick 4, and you hit the all button. I don't think that's responsible in terms of like an efficiency, from an efficiency standpoint. Not like a go to Gamblers Anonymous, not like that, but you know what I mean. So
90 for 50 cents it came back. I feel like I should have at least gotten the people their money back. One more quick Monomoy Girl footnote, or should we? Did that race just run?
No, it's a replay.
Oh, I was like, I think I just might have made a big mistake here. I'll give my Monomoy footnote after, because we've got 1 minute to post here before Santa Anita's third race. Is this the fourth in the contest? We're going past the halfway point now.
It is.
Where are you on the leaderboard? We never did check back in there either.
I'm like 59.
Okay. You're
59th.
You're grinding along. Do we have a new leader?
We do not, I don't believe.
Okay. We'll talk about the race then.
Yeah. No, it's still Kevin Mall. He's still got 42.50. This is a tricky one for me because I want to take a bomb here. And I probably am going to. I didn't. I mean, the 8 makes sense at 3 to 5. The 7 makes sense at 4 to 1, but obviously is allergic to the winner's circle. I think I'm going to let the 3 to 5 8 horse protect me. If the 7 wins, it won't hurt me too bad, and I'm going to go ahead and take the bomb here.
Oh, I like it. Well, you can wait another minute before telling us who that bomb is. How does this race shake out? What kind of trips are we going to expect from these favorites on the outside?
I mean, you know, they're going to end up wide if they're going to either have to kind of go on with it or take back. I don't think either one of them will be on the lead. And in fact, the horse that I'm going to play, I'm hoping will be at least sitting second. I think the 4-horse people are playing, you know, depending on what pace figures you're looking at. That horse is like as we talk about it before, like a downline type. You know, I have no problem with the stretch out type. I love stretch out horses, but when they're like significant, they're like running off early and then like just kind of, you know, coasting in. Those aren't horses I want stretching out. I want horses that are a little bit more even than that. And
explain that little bit of jargon that you use there, downline.
Yeah, I just think it's when, you know, I probably can't explain it that good. I just know what it looks like. You know what I mean? When I see it, and where, you know, their early speed figure, for instance, in like a time form setting would be like 100, and then their late number ends up being like an 80. Where at one point of the race they were traveling at 100, and then they slowed down significantly to like an 80. I prefer a horse who was like running at an 80, an 84, and then finished at like an 87 or a 92. That's kind of the pattern that I look for when I'm wanting a horse that's stretching out.
All right, this is kind of cool. I'm just looking at the terms of the contest. So we've got the top 7 are going to win their $458 entries into Saturday, May 12th, one-day live qualifier. 8th through 25th are all going to get their money back anyway.
Oh, cool.
Essentially, a $27 credit. Clever idea from attorney czar Michael Zapin there. So you have a chance now to, if you can beat you and finish in those breakage spots, 8th through 25th, you can essentially double up.
Yeah.
And we'll see where you end up. All right, you ready to make your reveal here?
No, not yet.
He is really afraid of you people out there. You've got him on the ropes. Keep those punches flying. Where are you? 50,
I think we're on delay anyway, so it doesn't really matter. No, I'm still gonna wait. No, I'm using the one, Nate's Attack, because we're gonna be at Santa Anita. It's in honor of Nate Newby.
Is this horse named after Nate?
I'm sure it is. Sure it is, absolutely.
There should be more horses named after Nate. One of the good guys, really known for how player-friendly he is. We always talk about Santa Anita. A great thing to have them as a strategic partner with the World Horse Players Tour, because the market leaders in customer service for horse players, other places do fantastic jobs as well. Keeneland leaps to mind. But Santa Anita, really wonderful live bank contest and just a great place to watch the races. I was working on our script the other day, and I had a line that I liked, and I stand by it. Santa Anita is horse player heaven.
It is. No, it is. It absolutely is. And I'm going to be leaving the Brooklyn bunker tomorrow morning at like 7 a.m. to get out there. So.
Oh, awesome.
I'm going to go hang out for the day. Should be fun. Let's go to the lead with this one horse. What do you say?
Yeah, you're going to know if you have a shot pretty quick here, right?
I just want him to break away from there and be forward. I'll let the 4 go on with it.
Just got to get your spot. You're getting quarter horse. I assume you like that. Not sure that you have the speed anyway, getting quarter horse, but I mean, you should be able to get a spot.
Yeah, he's fine. He's just hit the pocket. Yeah. Now he just got to shut off.
What do we got? That 4 is a long shot as well, right?
No, the 4 is the horse that was kind of downlining, and I'm steadying. So.
Oh yeah, you just had to check out of there. That's
all right though. I'm gonna get a little spot here behind these horses. I feel relaxed here on the backside. Save ground on the first turn. That's always good.
And you've got the favorite there in what, about 5th? Cruising along.
Yep.
But I mean, you know, fairly far back for Santa Anita purposes, though. You'd expect to be fine from there. The 7, I don't think you'd want to be on right now. However, dead last, and you know, an awful lot of work to do.
The 8's I feel great right now. If the 1 runs great, I think the 8 will win. If not, because I believe the 4's going to come back. The 3 and the 5 are long.
Yeah, you're in trouble. You're all in. Favorite just cruising up. The 7's getting a run inside, but still is going to have to get an awful lot of luck. Meanwhile, the 5 trying to put it to bed at the top of the lane, but also all in. Going to have to find quite a bit to hold off the chalk here, and it appears that the favorite is just going to roll by. 5 is showing a little bit of gameness. Meanwhile, the 7 is going to end up running 3rd. Horse race here, but the 8 is going to prevail. 5 holding 2nd, and the 7 coming through for 3rd. So that's not going to change too much
No, it shouldn't affect too much, and I would imagine a lot of people that are behind me probably didn't want that horse at that spot. It's it doesn't.
Yeah, it's interesting to think of somebody near you on the leaderboard. I wonder if there's anybody out there. I think it would be a mistake to do this, but it must be tempting to get cheeky and take that horse if somebody's right behind you, to take that horse to get ahead of you. I think there's still too much left here to make moves like that are thinking about just finishing ahead of you rather than trying to get up into those top 25 spots. Would you agree with that?
No, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that would be a mistake. And like I said last time, and I'll do the same this time, I'm not going to just try to move a spot on somebody. I'm going to try to continue to keep trying to get up in the top 8. Actually, I'll probably treat it like the top 25 now, because if I was really playing, it'd be something I'd if you can play in these feeders and get your money back, that's the name of the game to me. That's one of the things I like to do is play those matchups and then play in the feeders and try to play the feeders for the same amount of as I'm playing the matchups. And
did you play a regular contest today?
No, I didn't.
Explain why.
Because I didn't want people to be able to see my all-in picks, which normally on a normal day I'll just do it. I don't care.
Even if your main contest of the day is a live one. Let's say you were playing for real in this $458 contest tomorrow, which is live. Would you ever think, well, heck, maybe I shouldn't play in these matchups because then my top picks are going to be out there in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it, but it changes though. It changes when you start playing. Whoever my top pick is, I might not even be able to pick them in the last 2 races, or they get bet down. And if you really do it in an all in and a live, they'll end up being different.
Do you ever look? The reverse thing ever
I've
happened?
tried, but I've tried. I've thought about it before.
So you down to you and one other player at the end of a tournament. You'll go.
I've looked at other games to see if I can find them.
But you've never had.
No, not really.
And
maybe if I did, it never amounted to anything. It's always a great idea, but it never turned into anything.
What is your feeling about those all-in picks? Should they be? Is the way we do it? I think I'm in favor of the way that we do it, having all the picks be available, because without that, there's really no fun, rooting along when you're playing in an all-in. But is there an argument to be made that those should be covered up, those picks?
I mean, there's an argument. I think it's fine the way it is. But there's probably an argument but I wonder how that would work though. Like if you didn't reveal the all-in picks and then they just kind of popped up as the races went, but they were locked in. It could work.
Yeah, I like it better the way it is now. I think I like it when all the picks have to be in early. I like the transparency of it, and again, just for the ability to I can screenshot what my opponent has, and then at least get a little bit of juice rooting along the way.
That's true.
As opposed to my feeling about all-ins. I think they're great, and serious contest players. I understand why they prefer them, but I also feel like you lose a little bit of excitement. And I think having the picks out there, you lose a little bit of excitement, you lose a lot of excitement, and the gameplay fun. So that's something that brings it a little back in. Different strokes for different folks. Interested to hear what listeners think of that. Feel free to tweet at us about that if you're interested to follow up. I think we have a minute to talk about the Edgewood. I think it's one of the more interesting conversations of the whole 2 days.
Yeah. This is the race that I thought that there's 2 horses that could win. It was Daddy's the Legend and Rushing Fall, and I got interested in Twinette late. Although she ultimately won, I'm not entirely sure that the other 2 weren't best.
I don't disagree.
And I watched the NBC, and you should watch the NBC footage of the Edgewood and see on the backside how rank Daddy's the Legend is. She actually was fighting pretty hard.
As was Rushing Fall, or
right.
They were both ranked.
Right, yeah, Rushing Fall pulled herself to that position.
Yeah.
And then Daddy's a Legend the same way. And so they both ran well. I think that the big debate, and it took up a majority of our time between this race and the next of talking about, why was Irad, why did he move so early? Why was Javier on the lead? All of these different things. If one of them doesn't do that, the other one wins. And then
you could say that, but I'm not sure it's actually true.
Right.
I think you've maybe come around to my way of thinking. I was hoping you were going to argue with me a bit here, and say that you thought those were jockey errors, but I don't really think they were, because I think Rushing Fall did that to Rushing Fall. And if you don't let her have her head to some degree, I mean, how upset are you going to be when they drop a hammerlock on the best filly in the race? And Daddy is a Legend, I agree. It didn't look good, but he moved so early. But two things. One, the filly was kind of making him do it, and it was the same deal. It's like you're going to waste her energy hammerlocking her or you're going to go. And the horse he had to beat was in front of him, and that's what we complain about all the time is passivity in turf races and letting the best filly get the jump on you. So I'm sure most horse players were furious about that ride, but I'm not convinced he didn't do the exact right thing to win the race. He's not there to run second.
Yeah, and you said it when we talked in the car on the way home. She never passed. Daddy's a Legend never passed Rushing Fall.
Right.
So to say that cost her the race is incorrect. She never got past her.
She wasn't going to win under any circumstance.
Yeah, she never got past
She might have run second if they'd been more patient, but it's not what the goal was. Now, and I don't want to take too much away from Toinette either. It was a nice run. I think it probably should have been a nice run up into second if those two didn't act the way they did. Let's talk about this Belmont race here, JK. We have 0 minutes to post for Belmont number 7.
Yeah, geez, I'm gonna use another price horse. Usually I don't do this. The people that play me on DRF tournaments all the time are like, "What's going on? Why is he getting all these?"
Not your usual chalk fest.
Yeah, no. The horse I'm gonna use here is a horse that I think a lot of times, like you said earlier, you kind of can draw a line through a race, and people bet off of the last race. That's where these horses get their odds from, and a lot of people make their decisions based on the last race. I like to sometimes dig a little bit deeper to 2 or 3 back, and I'm going to take the horse here, the 3 horse EJ's Legacy on the race 2 back. I don't think the inside is where you wanted to be. Had a little bit of pace, was forward enough. And then I think the turf race was probably a bad experiment. I'm hoping the 3 will run a little bit better here, sit right in behind this wall of 3 horses, and then finish.
Is this the trip you want?
Yeah, this is fine.
Okay?
This is perfect. Yeah, this is perfect. The two, I look at the odds a lot, right? I got 2 7-2 shots that are across the track with a 41-1 shot. So the 41-1 shot's gonna come back to me, and I just gotta hope that the other ones get a little bit tired. I wish I wasn't in between horses right now and already.
You're not in a comfortable spot.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but.
Well, there's still running left to be done. We've got these. They've got a head-to-head situation going on now between the 1 and the 2. Had 8 staying on for the moment anyway. Is that the favorite coming up into the race sweetly on the outside?
The 5, yes.
So we'll see. It seems like it's going to probably end up being a pretty good trip there. You're still kind of buried.
Yeah, the horse has a little bit of run. I mean, maybe just run second here, but.
Yeah, favorite.
She's not going to win the race.
Favorite should have this one set. You're running a little bit awkwardly there.
I just have to beat a 41. I just have to finish a 41-1 shot here to pick up some points.
Let's see if it happens.
Go on, big girl.
You got a shot. You could get up right on the wire here, but
I'm home and hose down.
You got it. Let's see.
Yeah. Golly, I was the king of running second today.
You are the Prince of Place. I don't know. We got to come up with another name. The Duke of DQ, the Baron of Breakage.
The Prince of Place.
But hey, for the task that you have at hand, really, I think our DRF friends will be happy with you. Now, who's calling you during the show? Is this somebody trolling you?
I don't know. Someone from New York. Someone from New York. The Prince of Keeneland's been texting me. No one's congratulating me for my 37-1 shot.
We gave him props.
He said, and then I said, well, you're not watching? I've been talking about you.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I'm not watching. I'm too busy picking 37-1 shots.
The Prince of Keeneland.
Oh, the guy is amazing.
One of the good guys. I'll leave you a chance to say something nicer about Toinette, because I do feel like we gave a little bit short shrift for one who clearly does have some talent and was better behaved and listened to rider instruction better than the top 2. That's for sure.
I said this the other day, and I'll say it again. I think part of being a good handicapper is listening to other good handicappers, and this was a situation where Nick Tamero and I was on Steve Bick with Nick and Steve, and they both opened my eyes a little bit, and I had a plan of going all in with Daddy's a Legend and Rushing Fall almost the whole week. And that morning, listening to them talk and listening to about apparently how well Toinette worked on the turf course, Bick said it was one of the best turf works of the entire week.
That's great.
That was enough for me.
if you're not listening to Steve Bick regularly, not just on these big racing weeks, but all the time, you really should be. SteveBick.com. You can download the shows and listen as podcasts. That's my preferred way. I know a lot of people go ahead and listen live, 9 to 12. You're going to have to suffer through one kind of annoying guest Wednesday in the 9 o'clock hour usually. But for the most part, everybody on there is top notch. And look forward to doing hopefully another music show with him at some point soon.
Hey, you guys and your music.
We leave you behind with that?
Oh my gosh! Like like my early days of music is like Crisscross. And you guys are talking about all these people, and all the music you guys listen to is like people with like real names. Yeah, that's when I get lost. I'm used to like stage names. You know, you're talking about, oh, Jim Williams had that album back in '74. We made it out by a campfire, and I'm like, what? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, you're killing me here. We're gonna have fun scoring this World Horse Player Tour thing, but I think we've got some ideas of what the music's gonna sound like. It'll probably sound more like it was programmed by you than by Steve Bick and myself, but it should be a good time. All right, that's enough Antoinette for now. That's a fun division to watch. They're all three good horses. How about Backyard Heaven taking a step forward and looking like a divisional player for the rest of the year in that race? Were you surprised by that run?
I wasn't. I wish that there would have been another speed in the race, and I would have tossed Always Dreaming, and I would have just used Backyard Heaven. But because there wasn't another one, I just couldn't get away from it. I had to use Always Dreaming as well. Backyard Heaven ran huge. He had that big figure.
The 108 on Bayer from one race back,
right,
and then runs to it again.
Absolutely.
Again, the class level goes up, but the 105 speed figure remains. I guess that's an interesting point. If you view Always Dreaming as not a serious threat at this stage in his career, maybe it was almost like he was just able to control the pace and get an easy trip. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I would imagine that was probably the last time we'll see him.
Yeah.
Is that a good guess?
I would think so. I mean, I guess it doesn't. Who knows? Maybe there's some excuse that I haven't heard yet. But you know what race that reminded me of almost exactly? Bayern. Remember that day with Strong
Private
Roller?
Zone beat him.
Oh no, I was thinking of the Santa Anita with Strong Roller. Was that the horse's name?
Smooth Roller.
Smooth Roller. Apologies. We should have a physical mistake jar here, and that would be about the fifth click we could have put into it. Next time we do a live show, we will have a old coffee can with the words "mistake jar" written on it.
And I'm playing a bunch of contests tomorrow, so I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't care. If you liked Backyard Heaven, and the 6th tomorrow at Belmont, the 7-horse Mr. Buff, 2 back, ran. It was beating a length in that fast race with a really big figure with Backyard Heaven.
That's a good tip.
So,
of course, that was one of the reasons I liked Mask so much, was the working head-and-head. But again, we discussed Mask and the reasons why that one might not have worked out. That horse has talent. Had worked comparably. It's not like he was getting drilled by Backyard Heaven.
We got an updated leaderboard.
Let's do it.
We got an updated leaderboard.
Rudolph
Harden.
Rudolph Harden.
57. Kevin Ma in second. Gilbert Maldonado in third. Joseph Costello in fourth. Thomas Lepai in fifth. That's one of my favorite words, favorite names. Togo Travalia. Have you ever done him before?
I have not. I think we might have emailed once, but that's a name I've seen on a lot of leaderboards.
Brett Wiener's in seventh at the cutoff right now, and then Dave Nelson right behind him. And let's see what else. We got the Prince of Keeneland in 14th, trying to defend his honor. John Hurd, who called me out on Twitter today with his little video.
John is a wild Twitter follow.
Yeah, he is. Jason Avila, I see his name pop up.
Nice.
Grant LaGrange is still scrapping away. Lawrence Calden.
Where are you?
Tony Zhao has 20.
Oh, nice.
I have, it's just much easier for me to reload it here.
I'm sure hoping Tony will be making his way out to Santa Anita.
I've got 1780 in 58th place.
1780 in 58th place. And what will your own personal goal, obviously your main goal, you said, is to get up at least into the breakage zone. But where will you feel good? Where will you feel bad in terms of finishing? If you look at a split the field, or you look at to be in the top quarter, nothing better than you did last time. How would you describe it?
The problem is I like the favorite in the last race. So, although I could be cheeky and I think I can pick back-to-back winners here. I have a shot of doing so, but I'll have to pull out. I won't be able to pick the second one.
Not if you're going to play it straight.
Yeah. Well, actually, I might be able to because I didn't know that the one is really overbet at Santa Anita. The one is I think just saw it was 1-5.
Really? Take a look at the race. Let's see what's going on. While you pull that up, I'll check our thing here. Oh, we did want to talk about one other race. I wrote down. I think you had a comment about Mia Mischief in the 8 Bells.
I thought she was good. I thought she ran really good. I didn't think she wanted to go 7. She clearly went 7. And she ran really well. I thought Talk Vu to me ran well. We that was my big play. We were all kind of built in around her. And
did you catch the exacta?
No, I got to do that more often. When I'm at the track, I don't ever play exactas because it's just running around back and forth. No, we just played a bunch of multiples. I mean, multi-race bets into and out of from her. I thought she ran good though. I think I hope she shows up in the Acorn. I think with a little bit of extra.
Talk Vuv.
Yeah, Talk Vuv. I think she'll be good with a little bit of extra ground. So, but Mia Mischief ran well. She seemed like the type that if they can keep her going in the right direction, she's one that you'd want to possibly get a future book on the test.
Oh, very interesting. Gosh, I wish we had more future wagering in the USA. It's such a fun way to play the horses. I made a future bet this week.
Did you?
Hofburg for the Belmont.
Told me that.
12-1, which means the I'm going to try math and fail here. Get your bingo cards out. But I have a very square price for an each way bet, meaning if the horse runs 1, 2, or 3, I'm going to get a lot more than what the show price would be should Justify compete and run in. Of course, that's getting way ahead of ourselves. But I just keep feeling like that was the trip for me that I was the most interested in betting back out of the Derby. And somebody pointed out it was Justin Dew, actually, another tournament player who unfortunately has one of the many people who has a whatever it is, wedding, bar mitzvah, whatever it is that's going to keep him from coming to California. But he said, oh, so, are you sure? I don't remember exactly what he said, but something to the effect of, is it a great idea to bet a deep closer in the Belmont? And my hope is that this horse doesn't really need to be a deep closer. And I think that if they had that Belmont trip to do over, Kentucky Derby trip to do over again, just dropping anchor there, the ground is sort of ironic. I almost feel like the ground they ended up losing trying to get to the rail negated any ground that was saved and was sort of stuck in and among horses. And I would just like to see more, and this might happen naturally at the longer distance where you don't have to run that fast early. I'm hoping for this horse in the Belmont to be in a much better position, and I'm hoping we could see maybe like a Drosselmeyer type of a trip. What do you think of the play?
Yeah, I'm kind of against him. I mean, I don't mind the play. I mean, the play, there's value there. It makes a lot of sense. I just think he took back and was closing into some real fractions, and he's going to have to be put into the race to have a chance. And if he does,
I just think he had so much horse left. You watch that gallop out. It was just, I don't think he was fast enough. I don't think he was like a quick enough turn of foot to be able to make a more meaningful run in the stretch. He looks like a bit of a stayer to me. But if you ride a stayer positively, especially at Belmont Park, I could just see him making that Drosselmeyer move. I just see it in my head.
I don't want to talk you off of a made bet.
Yeah. No, I mean I
but
know.
I feel like the horses he was galloping out in front of just got done going 45 quarter half.
That's fair.
45 to the half.
It's not just the gallop out though.
Right. No, of course. No. He did finish well. He did. Yeah. I mean, he was the best closer on the day without a doubt.
And multiple spots of trouble. I just hope that the tactics are different. We'll see. I gave him out on the Final Furlong podcast. That was pretty fun. It was my first time actually ever doing analysis of, Emmett had me talking about the guineas, the 1,000 and 2,000. So it was a little, it was fun. It stretched my comfort zone. I don't feel like I have the authority to talk about those races to the degree that I talk about these races, but I got coached up a little bit by one of the top 10 pro punters in the UK today, Rob Dove, and that gave me I'd float my theories to him, and he'd be like, either that's a little out there, and maybe don't say that one, or yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Would Mendelssohn have won that race if he would have stayed home?
Oh gosh, what an interesting question. You know, on talent, it'd be hard to rule him out, but honestly, in terms of value, they're going to be much happier with the horse they got to win it, Saxon Warrior, because this is something they've wanted for a long time, is to get a sexy stallion prospect with the Japanese bloodline in there.
Who's he by?
Deep Impact.
Okay.
So you get that Sunday Silence, Deep Impact situation going, and you know they've got all those, all the Galileo and Danehill mares, and this is a very interesting opportunity for them. Like a horse that could actually end up going down in you know, as storied an organization as Coolmore is. This could be a horse that's like really important to them. I think they're very happy this way. He was one to me, Saxon Warrior, who had sort of looked like one who was going to want farther. And they're talking Triple Crown now for him, going for the Derby at Epsom and then come back for the St. Leger. So it'll be interesting to follow along and see what happens with the Coolmore organization and see what Coolmore decide to do with Mendelssohn. It sounds to me, just reading between the lines of the quotes, that one of the big possibilities is going to be not to run there. And just understanding that, you know, he's done what he's done on turf. Maybe come here once, maybe twice to prep for the Breeders' Cup, which I love that plan. Yeah. You know, I think they'll know what they have. And sort of, he doesn't have any holes in his resume exactly, but he hasn't run a race. He hasn't run one of the races that he's won, as impressive as he's been, they're not exactly stallion makers. Yeah. You know, Breeders' like Cup Juvenile and UAE Derby. It's not like, oh, let's breed there. And as great as his page looks, I mean, it's not really that big a problem for him. He's still worth a ton of money. But if they could get him, I don't know, I was thinking it might be interesting, like a race like, it sounds a little crazy, but it keeps popping in my head, a race like the Woodward to start, you know, maybe a 3-race thing ending with the Classic. It'll be fascinating to see what they do.
Yeah, you surely don't want to run him in like, I mean, I don't think you would want to run him against these things in like the Travers or the Haskell or anything like that, huh? I mean,
I don't think so. Right. I think if your goal is the Breeders' Cup to start, and I think Aidan O'Brien, reading between the lines of his quotes, is going to be very sensitive about the idea of like, throwing him to the wolves. I think he wants to run in a short field, where he's got a chance to prove his mettle before they go back into another chaos situation like the Breeders' Cup Classic. That's just my gut. No whispers out of Ballydoyle. They're gonna do, but it's going to be, you know, I'm obviously still I just think he's one of the most interesting horses in training. So
no, for sure.
Very interested to see what he does next. Where are we in our contest here? 2 races left?
Yeah, we have 2 races left. I don't know how many minutes we have. Gulfstream's running on the screen right now.
Okay.
5:06, so I guess maybe 3 minutes, and it is sometimes on time.
Yes.
Have they gotten better about that? I honestly have, you know, with all the Derby stuff, I haven't been watching a lot. Are they still doing that to us?
I haven't been watching, but one of the days I did pay attention, the drag wasn't as bad as it had been that opening weekend, and I don't know if that's by design or what. I don't know if you saw this study, this economic study that came out about the amount of money racing could potentially save by coordinating its post times. I thought that was very interesting point. It's something that had the potential to be very horse player friendly. Did you see that idea?
I did.
What do you think of it?
Yeah, no, I think so too. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, how often do you look up and they're off because you're messing with something else? You know, all it takes is somebody with half a brain and an Excel sheet. I think it'd be fine. So,
well, the problem is getting the political players to agree. You know, who gets to go when and all that stuff without without any kind of centralized.
It should be a ranking system. Yeah. Based on how much you handle. You get first pick.
It's an interesting idea.
You get first pick on the times that you want to run, and then everybody else falls in between. Boom. I'm solving problems here.
You should talk to that Thoroughbred Ideas Foundation about some of this stuff. All right, I'm looking through to see if we have time for another listener question ahead of here. Yeah, here's a good one about a topic we were talking about. It has to do, this is somebody who is very politely disagreeing with what I was saying the other day about the single ticket bets being bad for the small player, saying, hey, look at what happened at Churchill last night. You end up with 5 times the parlay payment of $80,000. Why isn't that good for the little player too? Isn't it a win-win situation? What would you say to that?
I want to know the little player that hit that bet last night. Because there's two horses there's one horse I don't see how you had. Because, you know, the turf sprint horse that won, I don't see how you have that one. And how much was it, I mean, I'd love to see the average of the investment made by the persons that hit that. Because I guarantee the average is not $60.
No.
Or $120.
No.
The average, in my opinion, was probably like $2,500.
Yeah, I mean,
of everyone who hit that bet.
I might even take the over.
So that's not for the little player.
Yeah.
You know, that's not for the guy, like, you know, we talked about it the other day on the pod. That's not for the guy with his name on his shirt and grease on his shirt and his work shirt on in there that came by after on his way home to play a couple races. That's not for him.
How do you explain the your friend at Retama Park? That situation, I'm sure folks have heard about. Tell the story quick.
I don't know the whole. I really honestly haven't seen the whole thing. I just know that $18 ticket, $1.2 million on the pick 5. Thought Funny Duck's name was funny.
Really, that was part of the story?
That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not. I could be messing that up. But I had a lot of people like back home like send me. You know, it happened at Retama Park, which is an hour south of Austin, and so it was like on the news all over Texas that this woman.
It's great marketing for racing. We'll come back to that. Let's talk this race real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to use the 7 here. I'm going to use the 7, trying the turf for the first time. I thought the last race was good with Doug O'Neill. It's a Curlin out of Pleasant Colony mare who's got 4 of 8 turf winners. So the 8 that have tried it, 4 have won. The blinkers come off after that race, showed speed, should be forward. A lot of different reasons why I like this one. Oh, look at this, though, before we run. Kevin Matisse, don't be confused. Duke
took the lead?
No, he took the lead in the $120 game.
Oh, yeah, I kept forgetting to check on that. Yeah. All right, Duke Matisse potentially playing in that high roller event. Who other names on there real quick?
Brett Wiener was in second.
Okay, well, Wiener looking to double up.
Brett's having a good day.
Yeah, he's a terrific player.
And Dave Nelson's in third. I think we're giving 3 on there, or just 2? Just
how many did we get?
Just 2 in break, 26, so just 2 in break.
Got to be some good breakage from those 6 extra slots.
Yeah.
All right, they are loading in the gate. Apologies, remind me your number again.
I took the 7.
Okay, the 7.
Yeah, let's see who.
Those familiar Redham silks, I'm guessing those are?
Those are.
Looking here, quick look at DRF.com, some interesting articles for folks to check out on here as well, including the latest on Justify. Amazing coverage of all the Triple Crown stuff on DRF.com. Jay Privman and others letting us know everything that happened. All right, they're off here.
Oh, the Prince took the chalk. Now I know who I'm rooting against.
Rooting people down in here, JK. It's bad luck.
This is perfect. This is perfect.
The
only problem here is that, in my opinion, the 1 is a bit more of a closer, and the 7 has allowed the 1 into the race. They look like they're going really slow.
Yes, and you say that it's the exact visual opposite of the last race that was all spread out here, where you have this leading group of 6 and you could throw a blanket over them.
Yeah,
that's the tip that it might be slow, and it's not glacial. Right, how far is this?
1 1/8.
Okay, yeah, 24.27 comes up the first fraction. But I mean, you're going well. You're in a nice place. This is that first over trip that we talk about sometimes. But I mean, it is going to be a little tricky to beat the favorite from there, don't you think?
Yeah, because I think that it's going to be hard to quicken past the favorite. You know. Now, if you flip the trip, maybe, but still, I still think that the 7 allowed the 1 to get into powerful of a position here. But I mean, but the 7's first time turf, so we don't really know what this horse is. I mean, this one could quicken.
All right,
looks like he's already in trouble a little bit.
You're definitely being asked while you got a double handful. They're starting to niggle on the 1 now, but I mean, you'd be very surprised from here if the 7 were to pass the 1. And
the 4 looks like a problem for the 1.
That is true. Sort of a big little awkward stride. A little awkward getting into stride here, though. So the 1 might have an opportunity. Here's the 2 splitting. Any route among these? I guess you just want the 1 to hang on, which looks likely, and happens. 1, 2, 4. It comes.
1, 2, 4. 2 Jeff Mullins and Tyler Bays. The pairing that gives us It's in the Post.
That's right. That's right. And the 1-2, nobody got near him on the gallop out either. Interesting, which I guess is logical given what we thought of the early pace. But what
we actually, how many minutes do we have till Belmont?
That's a great question.
Because I'm going to tell Craig to get on his DRF bets account.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Craig? I don't have my thing anymore. You got to bet, because I'm not going to be able to bet this horse in the thing. You got to bet $25 on Inspector Lindley in the next at Belmont.
Is that for you, or you're just telling him for him?
Well, if we lose, I'll pay him back at dinner.
There you go. There you go. I like it.
Inspector Lindley, get it? Because I'm going to have to pick somebody else now.
All right, there's your top one revealed. How many minutes do we have at Belmont?
I think like 6, 7, 8.
Perfect. That
8.
gives us time to look at Belmont tomorrow and this trio of stakes races that we have, starting with the Bogey. Have you looked at these? Are you prepared to talk about these races?
I did look at the Bogey, and I'm glad that was the one we started, and we got to talk about it a little bit. The horse that is 2-1 in the morning line, a Raving Beauty, was the one that was working with the horse that ran out earlier for Susan B. Anthony, that ran out for Chad earlier. So for me, it's backfired on us. It backfired with the Sister Charlie, but that's a downgrade for me. I'm going to downgrade that one on what will be a short price, and I'm going to look for something that provides a little bit more value. I had a joke planned out, and I was going to pick Tricky Escape off the layoff, but then I saw Iverson, and I realized practice isn't probably his thing. Oh, man.
I like it.
I thought Inflexibility would be tough. If that horse can kind of get out of there, be forward, I think she should be tough to beat there. So I'll use Inflexibility a little bit, and then Team of Teams is another one that from the outside could be forward enough that could be trouble. My big angle here is going to be to try to beat a Raving Beauty.
Yeah, it's very hard to ever oppose these Chad horses, right? And we've seen horses. This is not great. People are going to see Group 1 and probably get excited. Group 1 in Italy is not Group 1 in Ireland. It's but we've seen him take horses from the French provinces and make them into graded stakes runners. So it's not. I think that's a defensive use for me. I was going to take a little bit of a shot with My Impression for Shug down at the rail, who I just thought looked like could trip out. Did you have anything negative there?
No, it's. These Shug horses, at least a lot of the times, it always feels like they're just like kind of clunky, run late types. I think they just trains them that way. They just settle and finish, and it's hard for me to fall in love with horses like that, especially when there's not a lot of pace in the race. Now I will say this: Jose is the type that he'll hold his position down in there, and he could sit in the pocket really easily, and then if they're out there, jacking around. He can find himself right there. And
can you say that on DRF TV?
Jacking around?
Yeah, I think maybe you can. I don't know.
It's better than what I was gonna say. Yeah, so I thought My Impression, who was beat by Uni last time, a horse that led to my mustache.
Yes, that was great. One of my favorite 7th place finishes of all time. Almost as bad as the head-to-head bet. Didn't we have a head-to-head bet in Arkansas where we were last and second to last? I feel like you should almost not count it when it comes.
Oh, I'm counting it.
To that.
I'm counting. It's counted. It's officially official tally.
I have to pay for dinner tonight, but then when you no-showed when I was supposed to buy you dinner. Yeah, I just think, like I said, the trip projects nicely. The last race wasn't pretty, so I'm hoping that's a situation where we get compensated in price. And I feel like she's just been unlucky not to get a win at this level. But I mean, in picks, I'd probably go 1, 2, 6 and look to press the 2.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on here because I'm sure they're getting near-ish the gate, and we still have 2 whole races to discuss. The Peter Pan, how about that form of the Santa Anita Derby, JK? We're coming back with Justify, obviously winning the Derby, and Instilled Regard, who was 4th there, running a troubled, pretty good 4th, all things considered, even if it was with the race flow in the Derby. This is the horse that ran 3rd. I think there'll be a lot of money for the Peter trainee. And then the other one I wanted to mention to you was High North, who I guess that was that same day that we were just talking about at Oaklawn, who I thought showed some real improvement with the blinkers and could be a threat to win once again.
Yeah, High North's my top pick here off the race at Oaklawn. And obviously Brad Cox has got his situation going in the right direction. So there's not a whole lot to say there. I'm against the horse on the inside with core beliefs. I think the horse is going to be overbet just because Justify shows up in the running line, and that's great. But I think I'm going to try to look in a different direction. Just Whistle ran big at Keeneland off of that effort against Hofburg. One to consider, but this is crazy. It's not my type of horse, but I'm going to give Gotta Go another chance. I've continuously tried to get this horse since they'll race against Strike Power, and he's continuously let me down. But I think the only thing that you could say when you look at the form, when you say the 7 furlong race at Gulfstream was so good, why has he been bad now? Everyone will say he doesn't want to go this far. All right? Ian Wilkes is not the kind of guy that just bangs his head against the wall and keeps trying to do things. He's put the blinkers on, and now is stretching the horse out, keeping the horse at 1 1/8 miles. I think that there's something they're still trying to figure out. I think the horse is going to figure it out eventually. I'm not saying that Gotta Go is going to win, but I think Gotta Go could definitely make a run and get involved. And if something weird happens, he could win. There's no world beaters in here.
Yeah, you make a compelling case. Let's talk about Blended Citizen, scratched as the AE in the Kentucky Derby. I think I've seen some support for this horse on social media in this spot, and as one who potentially might use it as a springboard to the Belmont Stakes.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously was running the same day as Good Magic. Good Magic kind of had a lower figure than I think most people wanted him to have in that race, but ran huge out of it. So maybe the number was slightly lower than it might suggest, slightly higher than it might suggest, and maybe Blended Citizen can pick up some extra points on that figure and kind of fit in this spot. Not crazy about him.
A, B, or a C, or an X for you?
I mean, I'd probably because the race is so wild, probably like a B type for me. You know, I would probably use like Just Whistle as an A, High North as an A, Gotta Go is probably a little aggressive as an A, but I would use them as an A. I mean, you can't have an idea
sort of a value A. Yeah,
you kind of just got to toss them in there. So, yeah, that's kind of how I see that race.
Let's move on to the Man of Wars. We see the ad up on TV for the same race, 1 3/8 at Belmont. Where did you land in here?
Yeah, so I landed on Sadler's Joy. I thought that I didn't like High Happy last time, so I'm going to stick with that. You know, it stalked a slow pace. One Go All Go. I think the time you wanted One Go All Go was the 3 times before this.
Yeah.
When he was running on the DRF. At Gulfstream Park.
I made the same joke on out of the gate.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I might have stolen it from you.
We talk too much.
Yeah.
It was Gulfstream, and then also at Keeneland on the inside.
That bias.
Yeah. The being on the inside at Keeneland, where he won at 9 to 1, which was great. And so I think now it's time to hop off there. Bigger Picture is interesting. I think Bigger Picture is the 1.5 miles and longer type. Don't get me wrong, it's Maker. I'm gonna consider it, but I think Sadler's Joy might get something to close into here. Big sweeping runs at Belmont, I think obviously could help there. He's run here 6 times, only won once, but I think Sadler's Joy will be tough in here.
I don't disagree. I mean, he'd certainly be on my tickets. Best horse, best form. Call Provision. Oh, you better get your bet in here.
I know, I didn't change it either.
Well,
I'm gonna snap somebody. Sorry.
See if you can do that while I talk this race. They're off. You dork.
I forgot.
I'm rooting against you here. I'm rooting you down. Who am I rooting against?
Inspector Lindley, the 2.
That's unreal.
Well, 2 to 1.
Call Provision looked very live to me in there, and a horse that sort of got the opposite trip of One Go All Go last time. I wouldn't be... there was another horse that you were a little bit dismissive of. Oh, High Happy. I just think it's going to get that trip again. And finished well enough, and... I want somebody in multis especially. I want some horse who's not going to be a million out of it if I'm going to be using Sadler and Call Provision. High Happy's going to be the best of speed. I think he should be on tickets. What do you got going here?
I forgot to switch off of Inspector Lindley at 2 to 1. I guess I would have played. I mean, there's no horse that could have won it for me at this point. I only have $17. Top 7 is 43. So I guess I could have tried to get to breakage at $27. I think Inspector Lindley's going to be tough from here.
Who should you have played?
I guess I should have played. The prices.
Right, that's a good point. You look at what your goals are. If winning is not a realistic goal, you look, okay, well,
probably should have played the 3.
What can I get out of it?
Probably would have played Dowses Beach.
I think.
Craig, you're buying beers.
I think Craig is buying beers. This thing looks like a powerhouse out
Don't
here.
hang. Oh, she's flipped leads.
Oh, that's tricky. You jinxed it, and now you're not even going to get the beers. No, final try, though. Jeez. Ooh!
Did he get up?
No, I don't think so. It's dead tight, though. I'd give it up
I just
completely.
heard Craig laughing.
I think it's a tough beat.
Ugh.
They're talking about it on the Gallop Out. We'll see. And let's see what this does for our contest here. We got 10 minutes left in the show. Hopefully we'll get a chance to recap everything.
I would not have taken Made You Look. I wouldn't have taken Chad off of Todd. Not that Chad can't move one up off of Todd, but that move is...
So this is a situation where whatever the decision tree was, you probably weren't winning. Gosh.
No.
Really flattened out, and then comes, I guess, changes again late or something. Let's see what happens. Any chance? Any chance? Let's see
He's
how
in
long
front
your
there.
nose is.
No.
The photo goes the other way. 4-2. So we'll see in a minute when we get things sorted out there. So hi happy, like for you would be okay going into this race without having anything that's going to be in the top half of the field?
In my years, which isn't very many, like 12, of playing, I've learned that there's more value created by tossing than by picking.
Interesting.
If you can get rid of a horse that's going to take money, and then cast a wide net, not a wide net, but cast a kind of a smaller net, that's where value is. So I sometimes when I'm just against a horse, I just want to be against them, and High Happy is one that I just want to be against. And let's not forget, I know that Todd just got done running 4 in the Derby or whatever, but there is a thing where Todd's horses run huge in South Florida, and then they start dispersing and they don't run as good. And so there's always an opportunity for this horse to go the other direction.
Well, that's right. I mean, we joked about the DRF. This is one who ran successfully on the DRF. And, Pletcher to me, though, wins everywhere. It is a very different type of turf surface, though. There's no denying that. What is the worst bad beat story you've heard about the Derby? We had the opposite of the bad beat story with the McGoey brothers. If that photo goes the other way, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars for them. Have you heard anybody?
I've heard that if Audible and Good Magic flip, I've heard a couple people that would have had the Super. But nothing.
One of them being the Piper.
The Piper.
The Gates of Dawn.
Yeah, the Piper.
Chris Pipito, I hate to rub it in, but had it. And it's actually, the story gets even worse. So they're sitting in a box that is, just past the finish line. So what happens when you're just past the finish line at Churchill, the way that the track angles in favors the inside. So you're watching it live, and you get to have the fun, in air quotes, of thinking you won. So it was apparently Chris walked through the crowd. It was like 1 million people thick. The kind of thing that normally it would be hard for anybody to even get through. One look at his facial expression after the race, parted like the Red Sea. He just was able to go wherever he wanted.
We were. I was with Chris the majority of the day, and then we weren't together in that part. We watched it in the rain. We didn't watch any races outside all day. We'd watch them all inside on the screens, and we just got some trash bags, poked holes, put our heads in.
You were the ones who freaked Aiden O'Brien out. Did you read that? Oh, Aiden O'Brien was like, there were people with plastic over their heads, and it was surreal. He thought he was in like some sort of horror movie.
Yeah, we just put them on, and we went and just poured on us, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Thoughts about the Derby with a little bit of perspective, and I'll just ask you point blank. What are this horse's chances of winning the Triple Crown?
I mean, I think he's going to win the Preakness, and I think that the 1.5 miles with his tactical speed, with his body makeup, I mean, he's a monster. I think he's going to just gallop around there. I mean, I've thought it before, and it didn't happen. I think he's got a legit chance.
I know this isn't your favorite game, but give me a price.
Oh, I don't know. What would I take if I if I looked up the board? I was in Vegas. I said to win a triple crown, 3-1, I'd take it.
3-1, you take it. I mean, I think mathematically that's probably right. It probably should be the parlay of. It's probably the parlay of a 1-2 shot. Well, we need Eric Bialik. And this isn't even a hard one, but it's a parlay of a 1-2 shot and an even money shot. I think that's how I'd put it.
All right.
So I mean, your number is.
If you have 100, it's 1-2. and you win, then you have $150, right?
Yes, and then
you have $150 on a 1 to 2. Then you have
on a even money. So
you want to be even money in the.
I'm talking about the chances, not a straight math parlay.
Okay.
You know, I'm saying to me it's a coin. To me it's 1 to 2 for the Preakness, and then from there it's a coin flip.
Okay.
He feels a little bit like a lot of these horses. I think it's 2 to 1, but he feels a little bit like a lot of the horses who've won 2 and don't win 3. Just in terms of like how much it'll have been in such a short period of time.
Right.
But I mean, just on the math and the figures and the trip and everything else, everything you're saying makes sense, and that's why I'm still making it in my mind.
What was American Pharoah's Derby buyer? Do you remember? Do you know that?
I don't.
It wasn't very good, was it?
Low hundreds.
Yeah, it wasn't like.
We can look that up.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, though, is like
he bounced though that day. We all think, or if he didn't bounce, he wasn't handling the track. It was not the American Pharoah. That was one of the things why I liked him so much for the Triple Crown was, like, if his B race is going to get that done, what's going to happen when we see his A race?
Well, I think it's and I'm sure there's another horse that deserves to have this named after him other than this one, but it's kind of the game on dude theory for me, where, and I heard Baffert talking about it in interviews since then, is that it feels like they didn't know that they were supposed to just let American Pharoah roll. They didn't know that yet. And so he feels like it kind of took a little bit out of him when they just kind of kept him in the race. And then obviously in the Preakness they let him roll.
Yes.
And the Belmont, you're on 1.5 miles, and you're the best horse no matter what, so you don't really need to let him roll there. It was kind of a backup. So I was trying to see what the time form figure was too, because I want to see what it was pace infused, right? I mean the 103 buyer.
Pharoah got a 102.
102.
And we didn't even talk about Justify's figure. What did he end up getting?
103.
Okay.
103. And then Justify's time form was 127.
Which is more like a 107.
Yeah.
And that's with the pace infused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have these winners for you in just a couple of minutes. Obviously, this will be the #1 story we're talking about on the podcast over the next bunch of shows.
I think we're final here.
Okay, our schedule looks, it will be pretty normal for the podcast, I think, even with the craziness next weekend. Let's see who these 7 players are advancing along to tomorrow's last chance contest. Read them off.
Gilbert Maldonado won the thing. Austin, Texas, representing Rudolph Harden, Joseph Costello, Brett Wiener,
nice.
Kevin Ma, Togo Travalia, and Steve Turner.
They were there the whole time. I mean, those names were seemed like they were all up there. Joe Costello, a.k.a. Kevin Costello, right? That's the same guy.
Is it?
I'm almost sure. And
I've seen Kevin Costello before, though, I thought. Maybe not.
Maybe not on this leaderboard.
Yes.
But he'd be a great one to have. Great taste in wine as well. It'd be a lot of fun to have him out at Santa Anita. This is it's a good group. And then
the Prince of Keeneland got
did he get his money back?
16th.
Yeah, he gets his money back.
And he beat
times
me.
2. Yeah.
I got 64th.
64th. So really, you basically what?
Split the field?
Yeah, you split a little bit better than splitting the field. Did you ever answer the question of where you'd be happy? I mean, how do you feel about that performance?
No, it's not very good.
You're not happy with it?
No, no, 20's not. $20 is no. I would have liked to have done a little bit.
You're gonna sneak out of here. You don't want the DRF brass to see you. Be like, hey, there's the guy who made us give away all this free stuff.
No, if they say anything, I'm gonna say, well, what about the 26 people that played the middle?
Well, who won? Who?
Brett Wiener won. Duke got second. So Duke will be playing on Sunday in a game that, like, I'm gonna call my shot. Duke will get a seat there. With a 1 and 5?
Yeah, but I mean, Brett Wiener's no joke. That guy wins a lot of tournaments.
Duke will beat him.
We'll have a head-to-head. No, I'm not doing. I'm not betting against my man Duke. As much as I like Brett, that's going to be a fun one to follow the leaderboard on.
No, it'll be
cool to see something a little different. The big money last chance. The regular last chance, you can still get involved tomorrow. Check it out. Hopefully we're going to see a lot of those same names buying back in, and that's going to be wildly successful. And then, you're going to be hearing a lot more about this on the 2 shows this week. Santa Anita Preakness Tournament next weekend. All the money's added. We're filming a TV show, a made-for-TV format, doing something a little bit different. And the early indications are that it's going to be pretty cool. We hope to see you out there. If you do come out to Santa Anita for the Preakness Tournament, please find a time, tap us on the shoulder. If we're having another conversation, at least come by for the fist bump. We want to say hi. We like feeling the support of players, and let me tell you, we feel super supported. What an amazing job by you, viewers and listeners, supporting these two contests today. The kind of thing that will hopefully get us to do this back again sooner rather than later. Would you fly in for another one of these?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
As long as you send me a car like you did today.
I did. Oh, that was the greatest part. I got to be Mr. Kinchin's secretary. I'm calling for Mr. Kinchin. Can we please arrange? I'm doing this whole thing, and I'm thinking I must really like this guy. It's like he's lost without the ability to use Uber. He can't talk to a person to book a car. It leaves me to do it, but that's okay. You did make the effort to schlep all the way here from the planet Texas. You beamed in from the planet Texas, so I accepted my role. All right, we are just about out of time. Unless you've got a closing thought.
No, where are we going to eat?
That's a good question, but I will say this: I'm less worried about eating. And in the words of my hero, one of my heroes, Frank Sinatra, it's boozing time. We'll sort that out first. We'll worry about dinner later. Pete, your pizza idea was good. So thank you, Jonathan Kinchin. Thank you, producer Craig and AJ and Meg Price for putting the excellent graphics together for today's show. Most of all, thanks all of you once again. Amazing amount of support. We really appreciate it. Keep the questions and comments coming. We will be back on Tuesday. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatal. May you win all your photos.